I never thought a weekend getaway with my friends would change the course of my life. The idea seemed harmless enough. A rustic cabin by a pristine lake in the heart of Ontario, Canada. I needed the break, and so did my friends, Alex, Taylor, and Liam. City life had drained us, and we yearned for nature's solace. Little did we know that solace was the last thing we would find. The cabin greeted us with a weathered charm. Its wooden structure leaned slightly, as if weighed down by the years. The surrounding forest whispered secrets with every rustling leaf, and the lake sparkled invitingly under the afternoon sun. It felt perfect, too perfect. We unloaded the car, laughing and joking as we carried our supplies inside. That's when I saw them. Strange footprints, partially obscured by the dock's aging planks, led from the water to the cabin door. They weren't ours, and they certainly didn't belong to animals. The prints were large, humanoid, but with an unsettling irregularity to the shape. I brushed it off. Probably an old visitor, I told myself, but a chill had already settled in my spine. That first night, the lake seemed restless. The water lapped against the shore with a rhythm that felt almost deliberate. As I lay in bed, I heard whispers, not words, but faint murmurs carried by the wind. My heart raced as I tried to convince myself it was just the forest's natural orchestra. Then came the splashes, as if someone or something was moving through the water. The next morning, we decided to make ourselves useful. The deck leading to the cabin was in disrepair, and Alex suggested we restore it. The idea of keeping busy appealed to all of us. "It'll be fun," Taylor said, flashing her infectious smile. Yet, as we worked, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The forest seemed alive, its shadows stretching unnaturally toward us. During a break, I ventured inside the cabin, looking for a hammer. That's when I found it. A journal, buried under a pile of old newspapers in the corner. Its leather cover was cracked, and the pages smelled of damp decay. Curious, I opened it. The handwriting was spidery and uneven, recounting the life of a settler family that had once called this place home. But as I read on, the tone shifted. The land, it said, was cursed. A local tribe had declared it sacred, a place where their ancestors rested. The settlers, desperate and greedy, ignored the warnings. They desecrated the land, tearing down sacred totems and building the cabin. The tribe retaliated, but the settlers were relentless. The journal ended abruptly, with the writer lamenting the whispers in the night and the shadows that moved where shadows shouldn't. I shared my discovery with the others. Alex laughed nervously. "A curse? Come on, Mia. It's just an old ghost story." But I could see the unease in Taylor's eyes, the way Liam shifted uncomfortably in his seat. We decided not to discuss it further, though the atmosphere had undeniably changed. The haunting escalated that night. As we sat around the fire, the shadows from the trees began to stretch unnaturally, crawling closer like grasping fingers. Our laughter faded as we watched, paralyzed. Then came the noises, the thud of heavy footsteps, the creak of the deck planks, and the whispers, louder now, almost intelligible. Inside the cabin, it was worse. Belongings we had left on tables were scattered across the floor. Alex's backpack was propped against the wall, though none of us had moved it. The air grew colder, and the oppressive feeling of being unwelcome was suffocating. We locked the doors and huddled together, but the whispers penetrated every barrier. The final straw came when we saw it. A shadow darker than the night, standing at the edge of the forest. It didn't move, yet we felt its gaze. Then, as if in defiance of logic, it began to drift toward us, passing through trees without breaking its form. That's when Taylor screamed, and we all bolted for the car. We didn't pack. We didn't look back. We drove until the cabin was a distant memory, though the weight of what we experienced followed us. Days later, Liam found a news article. The cabin had burned to ground. The cause? Undetermined. We stared at the image of the charred ruins, silent. Though we were miles away, I couldn't shake the feeling that the land was finally at peace. The desecration erased, the curse fulfilled. But the guilt lingers. We had trespassed where we didn't belong, and while we escaped with our lives, we left with scars that would never fully heal. Even now, I dream of the cabin. In my mind, it's whole again, and the lake is calm. But then the whispers return and the shadow waits, reminding me that some places are not meant for the living. The air was thick with artificial sweetness, the kind that clings to your lungs and makes your stomach churn. Cotton candy, caramel apples, and something else, something wrong. I couldn't pinpoint at first, but it was there, lurking beneath the saccharine fog. Hollow Valley was alive tonight, its yearly New Year's Eve festival in full swing, but something about this year felt off. The music thumped too loudly, the laughter seemed forced, and shadows stretched longer than they should have in the eerie glow of the festival lights. I'd come with a group of friends, eager to chase away the haunting quiet of the post-holiday slump. The valley had always been a place of escape, a haven for music lovers, thrill seekers, and dreamers. But as the hours wore on, I began to notice something strange. People were disappearing. First, it was subtle. Groups drifting apart, couples slipping into the dark. Then entire clusters of festival goers seemed to evaporate, leaving behind forgotten drinks and abandoned jackets. At first, I thought it was just the chaos of the event. People wander off all the time at festivals, right? But then I saw her. She stood at the edge of the crowd, her pale figure stark against the vibrancy of the festival. She didn't belong here. Her vintage dress fluttered in a wind no one else seemed to feel. Her eyes, hollow and dark, locked onto mine. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. She didn't move, but somehow I felt her pull me toward her, like gravity had shifted. "Help me?" The words weren't spoken. They were pressed into my mind like an indelible mark. Before I could react, the music swelled, drowning out the moment. When I looked again, she was gone. I couldn't shake her image. I tried to tell my friends, but they laughed it off. "Mia, you're just spooked. It's the vibe of the place," they teased. Maybe they were right. Maybe the eerie history of Hollow Valley was getting to me. After all, everyone knew the rumors. Years ago, a woman had died here under mysterious circumstances. Some said she'd been a festival worker. Others claimed she was a jilted lover. The truth had been buried beneath layers of spectacle and commerce. But the disappearances were real. And so was she. By midnight, I couldn't ignore it anymore. My friends were gone. Every single one of them. Panic clawed at my chest as I searched the festival grounds. The once bustling crowd had thinned to an alarming degree. It was as if the valley itself was swallowing people whole. Then I saw her again. This time, she was closer. Her features were sharper, more defined. The sorrow in her eyes was a tangible weight pressing against me. She pointed toward the forest at the edge of the valley, and I felt an irresistible urge to follow. The path was overgrown, the music fading into a muffled echo as I ventured deeper into the trees. The air grew colder, heavier, and the artificial sweetness was replaced by the acrid stench of decay. I stumbled into a clearing, and there she was, standing in the center of an old, crumbling stage. The ghostly remnants of festival lights flickered around her, casting her in an otherworldly glow. "Who are you?" I managed to whisper, though my voice trembled. "Eliza," she replied, her voice soft but resonant, like the ringing of a distant bell. "They took everything from me. My life, my name, my story. And now, they'd do the same to others." Her words sent a chill down my spine. As she spoke, images flooded my mind, fragments of memories that weren't mine. Eliza, a young woman full of dreams, lured to Hollow Valley with promises of fame and fortune. The festival organizers had exploited her, forcing her into grueling conditions. When she tried to leave, they silenced her. Her death was no accident. It was a result of their greed. "I can't rest," she said, her voice breaking. "Not while they profit from my suffering." A surge of anger rose in me. How could they get away with this? How could they turn her tragedy into a celebration, a spectacle? I pulled out my phone, determined to document everything. The clearing, the stage, her story. If the organizers thought they could bury the truth, they were wrong. "Eliza, I'll help you, I promise." Her gaze softened, and for a moment, I thought she might disappear. But instead, she reached out, her translucent hand hovering over mine. A strange warmth spread through me, and I felt a connection I couldn't explain. "Go," she said. "Expose them." I ran back to the festival grounds, my heart pounding. The valley seemed even darker now. The lights dimmed, the music distorted. My phone buzzed with missed calls and texts from my friends. I wanted to scream at them to leave, to get out, but I couldn't stop. I headed straight for the main stage, where the organizers were basking in their success. Using my phone, I projected the evidence onto the massive screens flanking the stage. Images of Eliza, videos of the overworked and underpaid staff, records of safety violations. All of it played out before the stunned crowd. Gasps and whispers spread like wildfire. The organizers tried to cut the feed, but it was too late. The truth was out. As the crowd turned on them, I felt a strange sense of relief. Eliza's story was no longer buried. She could finally be at peace. I glanced back toward the forest and saw her standing there, watching. She gave me a small, grateful nod before fading into the shadows. The festival shut down that night, and Hollow Valley was never the same. News outlets picked up the story, and investigations revealed the full extent of the organizers' greed. The valley became a symbol, not of celebration, but of accountability. I still think about Eliza sometimes, especially when I hear about other festivals or events. Her story reminds me of the cost of unchecked ambition, of the lives it can destroy. And though the valley remains quiet now, I can't help but wonder if she's still there, watching, ensuring that no one forgets.